Hey, what's up? This is Chosen. Hope you're having a fantastic weekend so far. And for today's Raid Shadow Legends wrap-up type video, I want to talk about Plarium doing something they've never done before in the guaranteed summon events. I want to talk about why that's happening and what this kind of means for the future, how it could affect the guaranteed summon events going forward. And while we are doing that, we will get you caught up on everything you need to know in-game and in the Raid community so that you are all set up as we head into the weekend and into next week. So let's get into it. Alrighty, so first of all, if you're new around the channel, I, host daily discussions and infographics and stuff over on the community tab to kind of get a pulse of everything. So head on over there and share your vote and polls and your opinions on things. And I always enjoy hearing what you, the viewer, have to say. But what we have going on right now, in terms of the first time ever that something has happened, is we have got the last 3 guaranteed summon events were void shards. You had Ileal, then you had Akamtum, and then you had Shogger. And if we look throughout the entire history of the summoning events, we have never had 3 void events in a row, and it's actually rare that we've even had 2. You have to go all the way back to like Cold Art and Saris, but there was no legendary. So very rare that we've even had 2, but now it is 3 void shard events in a row. And it means I was wrong, because I thought the next one that we saw was going to be Ancients, because we haven't had one for a while. We had Stultus back in November, but now we are already approaching the middle of February and we have not had Ancients yet. So I believe Ancients is literally any week now, and we'll get an event for, I hope they don't inflate it to 200. It'll probably be 150 Ancients for one of these newer legendaries that is decent, like a Stultus. It'll be something like that. Hopefully they don't go with a 4th void event in a row, and hopefully not a sacred, because we just had one more recent with Elva than the Ancients. But I think the reason that this is happening is because I think it's pretty simple. I think they just make the most money off of void events. So, I know lots of players that are very high spender end game type players, and by far they spend the most money on void shards. So, and there's multiple reasons that go into it. Obviously, like, 7 or 8 of the top 10 champions are void champions. You've got like your Sifis and your Marichkas and Acrisias and Chris. So void champions are typically the most sought after in terms of getting them to a higher empowerment and adding them to your account when they're in a guaranteed and all that sort of stuff. But also, they just charge way too much money for sacred shards. Way too much. Like, the price that they charge for sacred shards would be like if they were void sacred shards. You know what I mean? Like if it was only epics and legendaries for void champions. If it was a sacred shard for voids, that's about the price that it would fall in line with. They way overvalue. No one wants to pay $25 a piece for a sacred shard to get a woad painted or something. It's just not going to happen. So if they brought the prices of ancient shards down a little bit and sacred shards down a little bit, then they would probably, well, sacred shards a lot, then they would probably get a little bit more of an even distribution in some of these events. But the way it is, like for end game accounts and for high spender type players, typically they're going to get the most value out of purchasing and spending their money on void shards. And that's why probably we see Plarium making the most money off of void events. And thus, as they kind of learn the ecosystem of Raid and they host more and more of these events, and then they take a look afterwards and they run the analytics, okay, we ran the event for Stultus, how much money did we make in that week? Okay, we ran the event for Shogger, how much money did we make in that week? And how many of the packs did we sell and all of that? So once they weigh these different things, I guarantee you they're finding they make the most money on void shards. But I think we can all kind of agree that they're going to that well a little bit too much. They're milking it a little bit too often. They're kind of draining the player base dry of some of their resources, and you can squeeze too hard and then you're not going to get any juice anymore. So they've got to be careful and find a balance, because right now I think it's a little bit too crazy on the events and trying to make people spend shards constantly. So hopefully we see the pace slow down a little bit, and you throw on top of that the fusions that are constant. We have a fusion starting next week. I'll cover kind of some of the in-game stuff, but I wanted to talk about this. But anyway, since this is the first time them doing 3 void shard events in a row, I really doubt there's a fourth right here. I would assume that it's gotta be Ancient Shards next. Like, I just don't see how it can't be. And hopefully, fingers crossed, they don't inflate this up to 200. Hopefully, we see it for 150, and hopefully, it's a decent champion. And ideally, we would be able to double dip it with the Fusion starting next Thursday for those of you that are interested in doing the Fusion. But before we move on to the stuff going on in game, I do want to, see what the thoughts are down here in the community and what some of the most upvoted stuff is, and then we'll kind of react to it. The biggest thing jumping out to me is that the 30% bumps and how much they are charging for these now, rather than just playing the game. Yeah, so what they're trying to do is find the line of where, where's that breakoff point? Like, where are we pushing too hard? Where are we not pushing hard enough? Like, looking back on it, you see that they had the event for 90 shards for Riho. That would never happen again. This would probably be like 120, 125, something like that. So what they're doing is they're gathering information to figure out where to draw these lines, and unfortunately it is leading to a little bit of inflation. I agree. Then we've got, I think they should run periodic guaranteed events for champs that are considering stepping, like, yeah, no, that'd be fun. Some of those more progression type champions for sure. Seeing the guarantees makes you want to start saving shards. I'm seeing a lot of, yep. Yeah, and honestly, I think for a lot of accounts out there, you're gonna kind of get to that point, because it's like, once you are past the progression phase and you're not really looking for certain epics anymore. Once you've got your seers and your man eaters and the epics you're trying to collect, and you're just looking for top tier legendaries, you almost just want to wait for one to pop up in a guaranteed and then pull for them then, and hopefully you'll summon another legendary on your way to getting them. Because I see a lot of people saying like, oh, I pulled the 110 for Shogger and I got a Necrit on my way, pulling for Shogger. And it's like, that's the opportunity where it would really be beneficial and you would get a lot of efficiency out of your shards when you've got like the guaranteed payoff, and then you get lucky and you get something on the way to that payoff. Let me get JK here. They're just seeing how many shard packs they could sell. I want to Crisia and Krisk pretty bad, but I wouldn't be willing to pay $2 per shard. I wish it was $2 per shard. Usually it's closer to like $3 or $4 a shard. Like, you would never see a pack of 50 voids for $100. That would just never happen. I bet you the high spenders in the game really wish that those existed, because they would probably really YOLO after them. So yeah. Anyway, that's kind of like what some of you in the community are thinking. And hopefully we see an event for Ancients next, for a hyped up champion that people would be willing to pull for, and hopefully it double dips with the Fusion that is starting next week. And speaking of the Fusion, we can transition to that over there on the right side. We have got only 4% of people that are really excited for the Fusion. And then the most common answer being meh, at 54% of people viewing it as a meh. It's not the best champion. It's not the worst champion. It just kind of is what it is. And then a 9% of people thinking complete trash and auto skip. So I expect this to be one of the lesser hyped up Fusion events. It's just not quite good enough of a kit. Now, we do have access to the test server, but we can't talk about the test server or do any content on it until Tuesday. So you will see like hundreds of videos coming out on Tuesday from all the different content creators that are giving their thoughts on the new champions and stuff that's changing in the game, like the Fusion champion that's going to be coming up. I'm sure there'll be a lot of content out there testing it. And then on Tuesday, I'll be able to go live on stream and hang out with you and answer questions in relation to the Fusion, and we can kind of test it live and interact with you if you're trying to decide if you want to go for the Fusion or not. Hopefully it's going to be a little bit easier than what we typically see in Fusions, and hopefully they don't get too crazy with like the champion chase and the summon rush type of events, because I don't expect this to be a pretty hyped up Fusion. But in case you are curious, like I said, it starts next Thursday, so you've got like about 5 days until the Fusion is going to start, and it's probably going to be a pretty chill week for the next 5-6 days. It's going to be pretty chill in game. We don't have anything super crazy coming up. It's kind of time to get your bearings a little bit, and some people are even saying, I'm excited to skip a Fusion because things have been so crazy. I want to kind of catch my breath a little bit. So we also have no CVC next week. So in terms of how crazy, blazing fast Raid has been throwing things at us, next week is going to be relatively calm. Then for the stuff going on in game, you do have a day and a half here as we wrap up the weekend to go after Shogger, but I'm sure anybody that wants to go after Shogger has probably done it by now, and it wasn't a massive percent of the player base. You can see over there on the poll, only about 3% of people are going to be pulling shards for Shogger, and it's just because the people don't have enough void shards, and people don't want to spend. I did the math yesterday on stream, and if I wanted to go for Shogger, I could do it, but it would cost me approaching $300, and yeah, like it's just not worth it. It's not gonna be beneficial for me to YOLO $300 to get a Shogger, and then I also have to spend all of the books and stuff on top of that, so it's not just the 300. So yeah, not gonna be a realistic thing that I want to go after. I just don't have enough voids. They've been coming at us too often, and I wanted to YOLO a few for the 10x Acrigia, so that is why I'm a little bit low on voids right now, and Plarium is squeezing me too much. I'm gonna have to hold off for a little bit and wait for the next one. And it is also worth mentioning the shard rotation. So obviously this weekend we had like the 10x / guarantee stuff, and with the shard rotation, it means next weekend there's like a 97-99% chance that we're gonna have 2x void shards. So make sure you're keeping that in mind. That will probably have something in relation to the fusion, a champion chase, a summon rush, something like that, and 2x void shards starting in like 6 days on next Friday. But also something that you may have forgotten about that is going to be happening this weekend. You can see tomorrow, Sunday, February 5th. This was announced a few days ago, and a lot of people have forgotten about this, but we are going to be getting a 2x event for speed in the Dragon's Lair. So could be an opportunity to be spending your energy in the Dragon here for a couple days while the 2x speed event is live. Obviously, we can never have enough good speed pieces. You're going to need it for all sorts of your compositions, your faction wars, your secret rooms, and all sorts of stuff. So keep in mind that will be starting tomorrow. We'll get a drop fever event for the speed set in the Dragon's Lair. And over on the tournament tab, you will see a Dragon tournament right here that will show you kind of the countdown of when that drop fever is probably going to be starting for the 2x speed. Other than that, for the stuff in game, I would probably go into the spider tournament and scoop up your coins here up here that you can see that I got over on the right side. Other than that, there isn't anything super hype going on. In classic arena, you've also up here at 312, you've got some coins to get after. And then under the events tab, most of this is pretty normal. You've got your summon rush going on for like the Shogger events and all of that, but nothing super noteworthy to cover. Then we can pop into the shop and see if there's anything worth plugging in and really having a deep discussion about. Yeah, see, this is what I was talking about right here. Did you see this offer that popped up? Like $25 for a Sacred Shard. Like, this is why they don't make as much money on the Sacred events compared to the Void events. Like, it's just like the cost versus the potential reward and the odds of that potential reward, it just doesn't line up. It's just way too expensive. So yeah, that's not gonna cut it. And it doesn't look like anything else in here. Now the last offer here, that's what they should be. Okay, but yep, doesn't look like anything super amazing worth recommending or plugging in today in the shop. And there we have it. It would mean a lot if you subscribe to the channel and like the video down below, as it helps me out a lot to be able to continue to work hard on content for you to play Raid Shadow Legends as efficiently as possible. But yeah, let me know what you think down below about the craziness of the 3 straight Void events and some of the things going on that we kind of talked about in this video. Would love to hear your opinions down below. I'll probably head over to the live stream section of the channel here in a little bit and hang out with a few of you that want to pop in and say hi and do the weekend grind together. But otherwise, have a great rest of your day. I'll see you soon in the next video, and as always, thanks for watching. Peace.